Okay, welcome everybody. Today we've got a great new product to show you. It's called the Dynaflex Powerball. Now I'm told the packaging of this thing comes a little bit differently than the review model that this company sent me. I don't know whether that's true or not, but anyway. Hang on. This is the actual product right here. In this case it comes with an auto start docking station, which I will show you right now. But first I want to show you the ball itself. This is kind of neat. Basically, looks like this. And essentially, here I'll show it so the label's facing upward. Might as well make the company happy. What's in it is like a gyroscope. And essentially this gyroscope, when it spins like this, creates some interesting pressure. It's kind of like when you spin something really fast and it tends to go a certain way. There's sort of a physics principle behind it that I didn't really understand because, well, hey, I got a B in physics. But back when we were doing experiments with gyroscopes in physics class, I noticed that they tend to stay in one place, but because they're essentially, I think it was called angular momentum, kept them that way, and this ball works on the same principle. Yeah, I realize a lot of you are laughing because I use angular momentum probably improperly, and you probably should. Anyway, so now the trick is you have to spin this thing here, and it came with an instructional video. Just this mini disc right here that showed it, and hopefully I can attach this instructional video onto this report because it's pretty nifty. There's a kind of a neat guy talking about it, and there's someone from the PGA, a professional golfer, who recommends it. Now here's the thing about this thing. This thing will spin very fast, super fast, and the way you can get it going is you can take a piece of string, yes, a piece of string, and let's see, you insert it in the little hole here. I don't know how well you can see this. I'll try and make this as good as I can, but essentially it's like threading a little needle and making sure that it gets in there. And then you kind of wind it like that. I'll try and show this as good as I can too. But yeah, you kind of wind it because there's a little sort of groove in there. Okay, now here comes the fun part. You actually have to pull the string and watch what happens. Okay, this thing starts spinning. Now, if you might notice, there's a little glowing thing in there. It stays lighting, stays lit. I don't know how blurred it is. This camera shoots at 30 frames per second. But essentially, there's kind of a groove that wants to make this thing kind of go a certain direction. And the key is you have to move your hands, or have to move your hand so it keeps doing that. And you can increase the speed, and as you increase the speed, the light goes more. So as you can see, I got it pretty hard, and this thing is like a force. It's almost like coming at me. And this is great for wrist exercises. Those with carpal tunnel, this is going to help you guys out. You can switch hands. Now they say this thing is deadly, wicked deadly on this part, this yellow part. I don't know how good you got that, but essentially, yeah, you don't want to touch that. It's pretty wicked. Yeah, it's also a massager. No, just kidding. I wouldn't use this as a massager because here's the thing. Principle of physics. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. Well, that's without the coefficient of friction. In this case, if I just simply let it, if I did nothing, it would stop. But if I kept it going, these motions, it goes and it goes and it goes. And eventually, my arm's gonna tire out, and I'm gonna want to rest. See how bright the light is? Now, I'm just gonna slow it down. Let it come to a stop. So, now, interesting. You can do some interesting things on these with some accessories it has. For example, it has a speedometer that you can buy separately. This thing will tell you the time will give you the revolutions per minute on this thing, and the object is to get as high as you can, of course, because that way you can feel the burn. Now, and believe me, there is a little bit of a burn in this, that, as the guy in the video says, I'm enjoying the burn. You can even use your fingertips on this thing to give yourself some fingertip exercises. All in all, I like this thing. I think this is an awesome product to have. If you're on your computer all day and you're typing all day, probably not good for your hands, repeated wrist syndrome, carpal tunnel syndrome, whatever. In fact, does anyone know if that's kind of the same thing? It might be. Now, you know what I personally like about this is it kind of resembles the Omega Hendron. And if you understand what that's a reference to, there's not really much I can do for you. I'm sorry. No, seriously. There was this movie called Supergirl. It was made back in '84. Oh, it was horribly bad. Critics panned it. I think it got like 1.5 stars at the newspaper I was reading at the time. Oh gosh. Anyway, yeah, Supergirl, she had to like, she's like living in this city in a dome. It's called Argo City, but that's to be on the thing. And it was powered by this thing called an Omega Hendron. And not from the comic at all. Completely made up for this movie. And utterly stupid. This Omega Hendron had the power to bring things to life. So, like, in the film, Peter O'Toole, yes, Peter O'Toole, star of Lawrence of Arabia, draws a tree and he uses the Omega Hendron to bring it to life. And then Supergirl draws this big bug and she brings it to life, and the big bug goes to the dome and the Omega Hendron goes with it. Don't ask me why the whole city didn't go with it, but apparently that's how it happened. And if you held the Omega Hendron, it would spin like this. Yeah. Gotta get the revolutions per minute up. Ooh, spins right in your hand with a little glow. Ooh, the Omega Hendron. Well, in this case, it's the Powerball. So, now this particular kit that I got came with a power station. This is an interesting thing. Looks like this, and it has like a little thing in here that essentially you put the ball in, then you hit this button here, and it sort of starts the ball rolling, so to speak. Now, it takes 2 AA batteries to make this thing work, not included. So essentially you can put the ball here, and there it goes. Okay, I for one really couldn't get this thing to work all that well, so that's kind of too bad on my part. Honestly, I don't really use the thing. I just use the old string pull method. It makes you feel like you're starting a lawnmower. Great product. Highly recommend this thing, and we'll be back probably with another review. Sorry about the phone call during the thing, and we'll see you guys later.